doesn't have to be. You could just in terms of social media activity, in terms of having a good reason why you vote for Donald Trump. Remember, if someone asks you, how could you vote for Donald Trump? Here's your answer. Judges.
Judges.
We want constitutionalists on the court. I am not interested in activist judges. You see, that's not a political response. Oh, you're this, you're that. No, I'm not. I want judges.
And are we going to cover Cuomo and de Blasio at all? In other words, or were we? Because we could allude to it now and let everybody know the importance of judges. But before we do, real quick, want to give a quick shout out. Because like I said, we're very excited. We're across all these platforms. So we got a lot of people joining us right now. Got Rosemary. Rosemary's been a big support. Arvin, my baby's out there. Jonathan at Holy Faith. Gornai, Anthony, Basila, Paisan. Jane's out there. Hang on one second. And Lulu. And I know Bernadette, one of my childhood friends from North New Jersey. She probably caught the Columbus statue fiasco. So she's now a fan of the front line with Joe and Joe. And we got a bunch of other people. John's with us. So anyway, yeah. So when it comes down to judges, think about it. Kathy's with us. Bill's saying, gentlemen, listening from behind enemy lines. Bill's a deacon in the Catholic Church. Anyway. And Dan just joined us, a big supporter. So here's the importance of judges, real quick. Cuomo and de Blasio, we covered this on our Crusade Channel show. Cuomo and de Blasio got wrecked in court, okay, by a U.S. District Court judge named Gary Sharp. And basically, and we're not going to go into the whole thing, but if we're using this as an example, Gary Sharp told Cuomo and de Blasio, you have, and Letitia James, the Attorney General, you have exceeded your authority. Exceeded your authority. You do not have the right to shut down religious services. You have not proved that you're not discriminating against religious services. And why do I bring it up? Because it was a judge with a binding decision. A binding decision. So that Cuomo and de Blasio had to either A, start declaring other businesses or impose orders on other businesses or let up on church services. Not just the Catholic Church, the synagogues, the Protestant churches, all of it. Okay, so yeah, how important it is to just answer somebody very simply. I'll vote for Trump for a number of reasons. First and foremost, primary issue, judges.
It's about judges.
So it is.
We said that in 2016. We still say that. And frankly, that is a good response. So again, having good answers and good responses are very important and be able to back it up. But also, I want to throw this perspective. This is from a gentleman. His name is Charles Hurt. And this was his perspective with regard to a message to Trump supporters. He basically said that there's a profound lack of enthusiasm among the Democratic voters for Biden this year. And that's a huge silver lining for the vice president. Interesting. This is what he said. He's comparing it to Clinton. And he said the Democrats don't care about Biden either way. So they'll vote for him.
Right.
In 2016, many Democrats detested Hillary and didn't vote for her because of it. And what basically Charles Hurt said, the broad apathy towards Biden means many Democratic voters don't exactly love the guy, but the same apathy also means they don't hate him, which means they'll vote for him.
So, and that's the thing. I mean, imagine, let's say, some Republicans really not liking Mitt Romney in 2012. Ooh, there's a shock. Full confession. I voted for Mitt Romney. Okay, I regret that decision. I wouldn't vote for him for dog catcher as far as it goes. But that's in hindsight. There's a lot of people that, let's say, didn't vote for Mitt Romney. In the same way in 2016, there's Democrats that detest Hillary Clinton, just like Charlie Hurt said. Absolutely hate that woman, okay? Like you said, the apathy towards Biden, we have to be careful about. Because what they'll say is, well, he's not Trump and I don't hate the guy, so I'm going to get up, go get my coffee and bagel, and I'm going to go vote for that guy. I'm telling you right now, I was laid off from work for 3 months because of the corona, okay, because of the COVID-19. I am going to find a few bucks, okay, over the next week, okay, and I'm donating to Trump's campaign. Also, just to give you an example, I am going to reach out. I don't know the gentleman's name. We have an African-American conservative Republican in this blue district in Bergen County. It's Bill Pascrell's district, and he's been there for decades. He's as corrupt as Nancy Pelosi. He needs to get his ass handed to him, and I'm going to find out more about this. I forgot his name is Billy I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I'm going to get it and I'm going to cover it on the show because I'm going to go and volunteer. I'm going to stand out in front of ShopRite and say we got to vote out Bill Pascrell. We're going to do whatever it takes. The Catholic Church teaches if you're going to get behind somebody, all right, if you weigh it in your conscience, then by all means volunteer, support the man or woman, and go and get involved in the campaign, which I think we need to do.
Because I've actually heard people say Joe Biden, I swear, is a good man.
Oh.
No, but people say because he's not like Donald Trump is raw, Donald Trump's in your face. And this is what we have to be very careful about. We have to get out and we have to vote. We are not violent men. What we're here to do is to educate. What we're here to do is to inspire. And what we're here to do is to encourage you to vote. It's time to drain the swamp. And we have to get Donald Trump in the office.
And you have to vote down ticket and get that gavel away from Nancy Pelosi. And I would say, even if it means voting for a Republican who you're not so strong on, because again, by voting for the Republican, if that person wins and the Republicans can take control of the House, well, House leadership is good for us. In other words, Jim Jordan, Kevin McCarthy, people like that. They're not Paul Ryan. They're not John Boehner. As we give a quick shout out, Joe Gargano's joining us. Thanks for joining us, Joe. Katie, we love Katie. I know Katie from the Franciscan Sisters of the Renewal. Bill, like I said, he's out there. Pam's joining us. Trump 2020. Eileen, Victoria, thanks for joining the front line with Joe and Joe. Imperative. Charlie Hertz, right. We cannot be complacent. We know that they're lying, Joe, do we not? We know that the pollsters are lying. They have polls where they'll tell you flat out, well, the poll was conducted via cell phone. Well, who uses cell phones? Young people. How do young people vote? Democrat. All right. If you call on a landline, who are you calling? Old people. How do old people vote? Republican. They know how to skew the polls, and it's all designed to make you
not show up
and demoralize. But Charlie Hertz, right? Complacency will also make you maybe not show up. We can't afford to do either. Diligent, straightforward, Trump 2020, because we want sane judges.
And keep this in mind: while you can't find a single protester cheering on Biden, because nobody cares about Joe Biden, there are plenty of counter-protesters out there who do passionately despise Donald Trump, and they're proud to show it.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. We have to show up, we have to let the silent majority speak, and we have to drain the swamp. We have to get rid of Pelosi. We have to get the Congress back. We have to keep the Senate. We have to maintain the presidency. And we have to ensure that we get good judges on the court to defend the Constitution and to continue the American way.
Exactly. And Pam says the polls had Hillary winning. Exactly right, Pam. At this point, 4 years ago, Hillary was trouncing Trump in the polls, and we saw what happened there. Lulu, got to disagree with you. I don't know what your political affiliation is, but Lulu, listen to me. If you're a reasonable person who doesn't like what's going on out there in the culture right now with riots and everything else, then you can't vote for Biden because he's not going to be the president, Lulu. It's going to be all the people behind him in the Democratic operatives, Barack Obama, Tom Perez, AOC, the squad, Nancy Pelosi. Joe Biden will not make one single decision. Not one. We all need to get that through our heads. He'll be a figurehead in their revolution, and he will be declared incapacitated within 6 months. And then this vice president is going to become president. And that's going to be a lot scarier than Joe Biden. So I'm sorry, Lulu. We're going to have to disagree with you. We're proudly and confidently, by the way, as Catholic men, voting for Donald Trump.
And by the way, Lulu, this is something I want you to keep in mind. Biden this week basically spoke at a Wall Street function to his basic donors. And he said that he was going to raise the corporate tax from 21% to 28%. Now, Lulu, I don't know what you do for a living, but this is one of the main drivers why our economy is doing well right now, because our corporate tax is at 21%. Now, the Democrats spin it as, oh, you're giving the big rich people a break. Actually, no, you're giving the employees a break, because when the corporate tax is high, corporations fire people.
That's right.
This is basic economics. And anyone who says that Barack Obama built this current economy, They don't know what they're talking about. And I'm giving you basic economic theory. Barack Obama's corporate rate was in the low 30s. It was the third highest corporate rate in the world. What does that mean? It means jobs go overseas. What it also means is the corporations themselves do not hire people like you, Lulu, people like me.
Us.
Because, again, they hold all the cards. This is not a game of equity. They're not here to make you rich or me rich. They're there to keep their money. And if the government takes 1/3 of their money, guess who suffers, Lulu? You. That means whatever you do, whether you work, hold on, Lulu, you say you work in a Catholic clinic. You do realize that Joe Biden is he's unabashedly for abortion. You do realize that he just said this week, Lulu, that he is for abortion in all circumstances, which means third trimester abortions. Lulu, I have 4 kids. I just had my 4th kid. You ever see a child in the third trimester? Joe Biden is for having that child aborted legally. By the way, in New York City, Lulu, you don't have to be a doctor to perform an abortion. That's by the law. So, no. If you work in a Catholic clinic, I beg you to reflect on who you're voting for.
Yeah, we're not telling you what to do. Just reflect on it, Lulu. You have to listen to their words. You might hate Trump, but, well, all right, Lulu's saying goodbye. Anyway, Sandra's with us. Hey, Sandra. Katie says socialism, communism will come to fruition if Trump doesn't win. You bet your bottom dollar that's going to happen.
Lulu, that's not lies. Look it up.
Yeah, you go look it up.
Sorry, I'm telling you the truth. Because you don't want to hear it doesn't mean it's not true. Sorry, miss. It is true.
That's right. So let's move on. Well,
let's talk a little bit again about the tax cuts, the corporate tax cut. Joe Biden wants to raise the corporate tax from 21 to 28%. What does that mean to you, regular Americans? I'll tell you what it means. Unemployment will unquestionably rise. That will be passed on to the employee, not the employer. They will not feel 1 ounce of it. They will cut their staff. Number 1. Number 2, jobs will go overseas. Because at the end of the day, if I'm in business in New York City and you're going to tax me at 28% and I have an international company with a presence all over the world, all I need is 30 days and 3 lawyers to incorporate someplace else. I can go to Singapore. I can go to Hong Kong. I can go to Mumbai. I can go to Dublin. 30 days, 3 lawyers.
But who does that cost? The corporation or me? If I work for that corporate, costs me my job. All right. And so again, Gilda's joining us here, Bill, Katie, and Eileen. So where are we headed? Are we staying on Joe Biden for a minute?
Biden.
Stay on Biden for a minute, because this is what's going to happen, by the way, if he wins. Okay, so go ahead, Joe.
Well, basically, there was another interesting article by the gentleman. His name is Joel Pollack, and he basically compared Joe Biden's model of governance, interestingly enough, to a Soviet model. Interesting.
Isn't it?
Well, let me break it down. People may think that it's kind of strange to say that, or even unfair, but I want to break it down. The former Vice President, Joe Biden, his unsteady demeanor. Do you realize that he just made his first press conference in 3 months? He has been under the radar for 3 months. In 4 months, almost to the day, he will be could be elected president.
Right.
Okay. And by the way, that particular press conference, he didn't look very good in. But this is what Pollack said. He said the Biden administration will be run behind the scenes by a mixture of old establishment hands and young radicals. In effect, it will pursue the policies of Bernie Sanders with the personnel of Barack Obama and Bill and Hillary Clinton.
You want that?
It will be a regency, not a presidency. Perhaps more accurately, a government by a central committee. You see, that is absolutely accurate.
Right.
Joe Biden is not fit for office. Don't take my words for it. Take his words. When he speaks, he is not clear. He is not, frankly, his message is absolutely horrible.
What's his message? He doesn't put a statement together that you could actually comprehend.
And his presentation is utterly and absolutely horrible. It's horrible.
Chris says in the chats here, he said if Biden wins, the rest of the nation will be like California, actually the Soviet state of California. Right, Chris? That's exactly right.
But, I want to get back to Lulu for a second, just for 1 minute. She's gone, but I want to say this. This is typical of many people who vote for Democrats. You present them with a hard truth. What I said is true about abortion. And she works for, I'm not condemning her, but
No.
she works for the Catholic Church. Abortion is a sin.
It's a grave sin.
I'm not judging Lulu, but what I'm saying is this. You present them with a hard truth. And what I said is the truth. Look it up. She says it's lies. No, it's
Not lies. It's
No,
just, the only time he makes a coherent statement is when he's supporting abortion.
But
So that's when he's absolutely. By the way, you find that a little bit ironic that most of the time when he's talking about the economy, things like that. Dan mentioned H-1 visas. For the foreign workers. All right, so that's another thing we could talk about how Biden is going to shaft American workers by letting foreign workers come in, where Trump won't do that. But leaving that aside, okay. But the only time he's actually clear is in his support of Planned Parenthood, abortion up to the moment of birth, and having taxpayers pay for it. He's crystal clear on that. And then Lulu wants to turn around and say she can't vote for Trump. I can't understand how any Catholic can vote for the party of death. I don't know what it is in your conscience that makes you think you could go pull the lever for people who are all in favor of abortion, euthanasia, you name it. They are the culture of death. So I'm sorry, Lulu. We pray for you. You're just simply wrong. That's not a judgmental statement, but you're just simply
But
wrong.
people choose. They have selective memories, and that's why I bring this up. We're not here. Listen, I'm not a Republican. I'm a Catholic, and I look at views. And frankly, as a Catholic, you cannot vote for a candidate that is for abortion. It's a disqualifier.
Well, what do you say all the time? What if somebody's right? You agree with the person on 9 out of 10 issues, but the one that you disagree on is slavery.
If you said to me that you could solve all of America's problems and you were for slavery, I couldn't vote for you. Abortion is that type of qualifier. Abortion is murder. And the Democratic Party supports abortion to the moment of birth. Do you know that we're one of 7 nations on the globe that do that? And we're not in good company.
No, we're like China and North Korea.
So what I'm saying is this. If you are a person of goodwill, you shouldn't just turn the other cheek. You shouldn't just say, oh, but that's not me or that's not my kid. And especially if you're a baptized Catholic, especially if you are even a Protestant or evangelical and you profess a belief in Jesus Christ, you cannot in good conscience vote for a candidate that is for radical abortion, and Joe Biden is.
That's
Miss
right.
Lulu, I'm not lying. I'm telling you the truth.
Well, you got to go see, but the thing is, you got to tell people the truth, so maybe they'll have the courage to go and look it up. Sherry's joining us. Hey, Sherry, what's happening? Miss Coffee Cool. Sherry said, absolutely, culture of death. And she made the point that if you want Bill and Hillary and Obama and Tom Perez, Sherry said, go vote for Biden because they will be in effect running this country. You know what makes me even more scared than that? Okay, those are the establishment Democrats who are all wackos anyway, would be when the squad is able to tell Joe Biden what decisions he's going to make. Now that makes an Italian-American like me, Roman Catholic from North Jersey, shaking my boots a little bit, if you know what I mean. If AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, and the rest of the squad have their way, forget about it. Joe, we always said, when their revolution comes, if it's ever successful, Joe and I are going to be the first in the guillotine. But the rest of you, I mean, we'll pray for you from heaven as long as our Lord Jesus Christ allows us into heaven by the grace of God. But it would be disgusting. This country's in bad shape enough as it is, with them threatening and rioting and everything else. If Biden wins and those people are actually running this country, forget it. We're toast. And Dan makes a good point, too. They're godless. The Democratic Party is godless. So anyway, Joe Resinello, Joe Pasillo at the front line with Joe and Joe. And we're glad to have you all. We're streaming across all platforms now, particularly Facebook and YouTube, Holy Faith Media, Frontline with Joe and Joe pages. We got a lot of action right now in the comments. We have Bucius Maximus joining us. So welcome. I haven't seen you before, but welcome. Ann's with us. Ann contributed to our GoFundMe campaign. Thank you, Ann. And yes, if you're interested in dropping a couple bucks in the GoFundMe campaign on our Facebook page. You'll find the link for that, and you can please support us with your prayers. But if you could throw in a few dollars, that'd be great. So where are we? Where are we headed next?
Well, we would be remiss if we wanted to talk a little bit about what if Joe Biden won. We kind of went off on a bit of a tangent due to Lulu, but I couldn't help myself. I want to talk a little bit about the mob, and I'm not talking about the Italian mob. I'm talking about the mob out there, the voices that are basically manipulating the average American, particularly when it comes to speech. You're not permitted to say what you feel anymore. And I'm not talking about bad things. I'm just talking about your opinion. I was talking to my neighbor this weekend who's a state trooper, and he said, Joe, free speech is about what we're doing right now, talking across the street where both of us are mowing the lawn. Free speech isn't free anymore. This is something that Joe and I recently discussed on Liquid Lunch, which is on Newsmax this week. And I want to talk about the mob's effect on corporate America and its employees. I want to begin with Boeing, and then I want to move to Nike. A Boeing executive resigned over a 1987 op-ed where he opposed women in combat. Let me break this down. Nigel Golightly penned an op-ed when he was 29 years old. He was a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy. This is what he said. At issue is not whether women can fire M60s, dogfight MiGs, or drive tanks. Introducing women into combat would destroy the exclusivity of males' intangibility in war, in fighting, and the female image of what men fight for: peace, home, and family.
What does that mean? Men sacrifice, go out to fight like they did in every war up until they passed all this nonsense, so that we have women on the front line. Men go out and fight for God, country, and family, or God, family, and country.
Well,
that's the way it is, and it's men who are supposed to dodge bullets, not women. Not that they're not capable, like he said.
That's what he said.
Not that they're not capable, but that's not their role. And that's not what they do.
And I have a daughter, and Joe has a sister, and I would never want my daughter to go to war. I wouldn't want my son to go to war, but I particularly wouldn't want my daughter to go to war. And I don't think that this is such a horrible statement. And also, we've covered this on other shows. The U.S. Marine Corps have done studies that basically said that in combat, men perform better. That's studies. And we've covered this on our show. And at the end of the day, I, speaking as a father, would never want my daughter to go to war. Well, this is what this man wrote in 1987. Again, he was an executive in Boeing. This is what happened. He had to grovel and retract his statement. This is the effect of the mob. This is the effect of the lack of free speech that's currently existing in this country. This is something that he wrote as a 29-year-old in 1987 that they dug up. And frankly, I don't even think it's that offensive. I'm sorry. I don't want my daughter to go to war, and I don't think she belongs there. This is what he had to say after the mob came after him. And I'm not talking about the Italian mob.
Now, listen to this groveling. This is a guy who's in the military. Listen to this groveling statement that he made. Joe and I say all the time, I'm no friggin' He-Man, okay? I didn't go to war. I didn't join the service. I would never make this statement, ever. Listen to this and hold your stomach.
My article was a 29-year-old Cold War Navy pilot's misguided contribution to a debate that was live at the time. Gottlieb said in a statement introduced in Boeing's announcement, "My argument was embarrassing, wrong, and offensive. The article is not a reflection of who I am, but nonetheless, I have decided that in the interest of the company, I will step down." I don't even think what he said was wrong. If I scour every corner of my heart, I can't think of one thing that he said that is wrong.
You're talking about in his original statement, right? But this is what happens when we have cancel culture. Cancel culture has to be canceled. You don't have the right to cost somebody their job because they don't agree with you. And the government is not stepping up, and all you conservatives better get it through your head. We need government action. I know we don't like that as conservatives, but we need the government to step in all places, whether it's the military, whether it's in corporate America, and say, you cannot fire somebody based on viewpoint discrimination. If somebody said they're against gay marriage, that's their business.
And also what he's basically saying is women can do what a man can do. They could fire a gun, they could fly a plane. However, I don't believe, in my opinion, that it's their place to go to war, that it's a man's place to go to war. I don't think that that's a problem. That's your opinion. Why should he have to suffer financially for that?
Right.
That's simply your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
Hey, Joe, let's get it straight. Their attitude is, it's lucky we're just costing you your job for now, because when the time comes, if they win, they'll say, we'll cut your throat if you disagree with us. They're just softening us up by costing us our jobs. We already know what's going to happen to us, okay? That's why we're fighting so desperately, not because I'm a Catholic man. I die, I want to go to heaven. I have the hope of heaven and being saved. I stay close to Christ, so does Joe, our families. We go to confession, we receive Jesus in the Eucharist. I don't care about that. What about the world we're leaving our kids? What kind of world are we not going to say something to our fellow man to say, are you going to, like Lulu, are you going to open your eyes and understand what it is you're voting for when you're voting for the left? That's all they're about.
This is not the Democratic Party of your grandparents.
Oh,
I've said this time and time again on our show. Many Italian Americans, Anthony Basil, who I grew up with, who's now working out in Indiana, he's a veteran of the Air Force. He knows it. We grew up in New Jersey. A lot of Italian Americans, they worked in the unions, they worked on the railroad, they worked in factories, and they pulled the Democratic lever. A lot of Irish, a lot of Polish, the same thing. This is not the Democratic Party of your grandparents. And you simply have to look at the issues. And you simply have to look at what this mob, and it is a mob, did to this man who made a statement that, frankly, I don't think was a bad statement. It's simply his opinion.
And they had to go back 30 years to get it,
And
Joe.
he was 29 years old. And he has to resign from his position? Is this the America that we fought and died for 240 years?
Nope.
Is this free speech? He didn't say anything bad. He didn't scream fire in a theater, yet he had to resign his job because the mob called for it.
Right.
That is a disgrace, and that is not an exercise of free speech. And if I was him, I would not have resigned. I would sue them. And that's what we have to start doing.
You made a point. You made a point on our Crusade Channel show, which, by the way, if you want a 30-day free subscription to the Crusade Channel, you could go do a free trial, Mike Church, at crusadechannel.com. Crusadechannel.com. Joe and I are on there, along with a lot of great shows. And you could, like I said, it's a free trial. You can see what they're all about. Joe and I get nothing. We get, nothing from that. But we would encourage you to do so. But now, having said that, I forgot what my point was going to be, because I always...
No, it's okay. It's okay. We're going to go to Nike. Basically, Nike is trying to pressure the Redskins. Nike's trying to remove the Redskins gear from their website. In an apparent forceful move against the Washington Redskins to change their name, basically all their gear is being removed from Nike's website. And this is the interesting part, okay? And this is the hypocritical aspect of how these guys operate. Despite Nike's apparent newfound problem in doing business with the Washington Redskins, the athletic apparel giant does not appear to have any problem maintaining ties to regimes that use slave labor.
Now listen to this.
In March of this year, a nonpartisan Australian think tank revealed that Nike was one of 83 corporations that maintain active ties to factories in China that are believed to use Muslim slave labor. Redskin owner Dan Snyder is under pressure from multiple business partners and corporate sponsors to change the team name. Schneider said that he has no official plans to change the team name. I'll make you a bet. I bet you he capitulates, and I bet you they change the name by the end of the year.
I'm going to say this. He has held firm now for a while. This has been going on for a while. But like you said, we're in the midst of cancel culture. So Nike's going to cancel the Redskins. The NFL is going to cancel. The NFL right now, by the way, is a cultural organization, a cultural/political organization. They are not a sports organization. By the way, if Daniel Snyder holds his ground and does not change the name, and Roger Goodell tries to make a move to kick them out of the NFL, he should sue the Bulls out of the NFL. That's what he should do, because they've been trying for years. I will give Daniel Snyder credit. I don't necessarily like the guy, okay? But he's held his ground on this. They've been trying for a long time. But getting back to an original point, Nike's going to tell him this? You're employing Muslim slave labor in China to manufacture your shoes that you're going to sell back here at a ridiculously or at a much cheaper price. You're going to undermine our labor force, and you're going to preach to Daniel Snyder because the name of the organization is the Washington Redskins? Is that a joke? I mean, really, seriously, is that what it is? But this cancel culture, it's got to stop.
I know what
Joe
the
Resinella.
answer is to Nike. I know what the answer is to the NFL. I know what the answer is to the NBA. Stop giving them money. Stop giving them money. Don't watch the games. Don't buy the apparel, and their tune will change. Their tune will change. You see, we capitulate with this nonsense. You listen to what we say, and listen, look up what we say. I'm not making it up. Look it up. Yet, just like Lulu, we choose to turn the other cheek, and we keep giving them money, and they keep shoving this nonsense down our throat.
Right.
And until people stand up, particularly with regard to funding this, it will continue. But when people say, no, I'm not going to spend money on my NFL tickets. No, I'm not going to buy that jersey. No, I'm not going to go to the NFL. No, I'm not going to take my kids to Disney. No, I'm not going to watch Netflix. When we stop, they stop.
Right.
Because it's about
Money.
the money.
Right.
That's
That's
it.
really what it's about. I mean, and if we actually in this country started monitoring our spending habits and where we spend money and start directing it in different places, outright boycott certain industries like Hollywood and Disney. Okay. Stop buying everything on Amazon. Damn it. Whatever happened to just local stores? I mean, you got to buy everything in Amazon. Is that the way it's got to be? Because you want it there in 24 hours? We need to start getting a little uncomfortable. We need to start sacrificing. We give them our money. I'm not watching the New York Jets. If this is what the NFL is going to do, if anybody, my friends, if I made that statement, my friends who know me for all my life would say, Joe's not watching the New York Jets. Get out of here. I don't believe that. I will not watch the Jets. I don't care if they're 16-0 in December and they're going to the playoffs and they're about to go to the Super Bowl. I will not watch them if this is what's going to happen. I will not. I swear, Joe. I'm not going to do it.
I haven't watched the NFL in 2 years.
I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I've canceled Netflix. Okay, they made a movie portraying Jesus as a homosexual, or they let a producer onto their platform who produced a movie that portrayed Jesus as a homosexual. So I don't care if it's $13 a month that I'm saving. I'm not giving it to Netflix. But here's my question. What if it was 1 million people at $13 million a month that Netflix was losing? Maybe then they'll wake up. What if parents stop taking their kids to that pagan shrine that we call Disneyland, okay, to go and bow at the altar of Mickey Mouse, okay? What if they stop doing that? Stop supporting Disney because they're all about rainbows. They're all about indoctrinating your children. These are all things that we could do, Joe Resinella. All of us can do. Every single one of us can do to fight against this culture because, like you said, we start costing them money. They're
cave.
They're going to cave. Can I follow up on speaking about money?
Sure.
Because Pam, thanks, Pam. Pam contributed to the GoFundMe campaign, and a few people who I know are listening right now. Even though I'm going to read them all out just to give a shout out. Hopefully you all see this. Pam, she contributed. Sandra, I saw Sandra in the comment box. Kevin, Gornai, Roseanne, Josette, Artie, Ann is in the comment. Ann threw in a few bucks. And Gerardo, Michael Berry, Rita Dalloway, Vinny Spinella, Gerald, Aaron, Scott, Vicky, Laura, Louie, Karen, Jeff, Helen, John, Bill, Christian, Dan's in there, and Pedro. So we're rock and rolling. We're going to the next level, and we have you all to thank for it. I mean, we're really, Joe, I swear, somebody asked me recently, what do you want to do? I said, I want to start a movement. I don't want to make millions of dollars. I don't want to be Rush Limbaugh. I don't want to be Sean Hannity. I know you don't either. We want to make our living doing this. I wouldn't mind paying the bills doing this. I'm not going to lie about that. I'm not interested in millions, not interested in moving out of New Jersey. In other words, because this is my state, love it or not, okay? This is my state. What we want to do is we want to start a movement, and the movement's got to be rallied Yes, it has to be Christocentric, I think, okay? We have to rally around the truth, which is Christ. Obviously, others of goodwill can come and join us who agree with us in this culture war, Joe. In other words, they're against abortion, they're against rainbows, they're against all this nonsense.
And we're not
And
against people.
No.
We're simply Catholic men who believe in what our religion teaches, just like Orthodox Jews, just like Muslims. And you see, this is again where this country used to be about plurality. It used to be about we could have a dialogue. That's no more.
That's gone.
You see, I have every right to believe what my religion teaches. I have every right to express my opinion based upon the fact that I am a Catholic man. I thought we lived in America. That is no longer the case. That is no longer the case. And you know something? This is where we are. Free speech is no longer free. There's a cost. And this is what we have to fight against. And that is why I openly say we must vote for Donald Trump. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you why once again. It's about judges. We need judges to stand behind the Constitution. So when they do what Nike did to the CEO, when they do what they did to that executive in Boeing, you have a judge to support you in court.
Yep.
Because without that, you're lost.
We're not going to make it without a judiciary. We have to take the conservatives gave up the judiciary really years ago, all right, and they allowed the left to run roughshod over the Constitution. Now they're waking up and starting to fight back, okay, and have been now for the last few years. I'm going to put it like this here. I don't know if I said it on our Facebook show, our live show on Sunday night or on the Crusade channel. Think of it this way. Not every judge that Trump puts up is going to be a winner. They're just not. There's been a couple of clunkers.
That's life.
But I'll take 90% of the Trump judges who are sane, who are rational, who are constitutionalists, over 100% of, we say Biden's judges, but they won't be Biden's judges. There'll be Obama's judges. There'll be Nancy Pelosi's judges. There'll be the squad's judges. I'll take 90% of Trump's judges being good over 100% of theirs being our worst nightmare. If you think Kagan and Sotomayor are bad, or Stephen Breyer or Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the AOCs of this world, they got something else in store for you, and you're not going to like it. I'll tell you that right now. So yeah,
That's it.
That's it. That was good though. I mean, we covered a lot of ground in only 3 stories, but we're very excited. We really are. Seen a lot of new names here listening to us at the front line with Joe and Joe. And again, we're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube. We're on Holy Faith Media, Arana Nation. We want to thank you all. There was someone in the comment box said, "These guys are real men." I think that is a real compliment.
Well, that's nice.
And thank you very much. So yeah, remember to follow our page on Facebook. Please like us there. Share it with your friends. Go over to YouTube if you're not there already. Like the video and hit the little subscribe button. And I guess if anybody has any questions before we go, then you might as well hit us now. We'll give it a couple minutes. Katie says John Roberts was on the Epstein plane. I haven't heard that, Katie. So I'm going to take your word for it. Victoria says, I worship God all day long as churches have gone too soft. Well, that's true. Rita's joining us. So, all right. So I guess there's no questions. But anyway, thank you all very, very much again. And remember that our conversation, that's your conversation, and that conversation is going on everywhere. We'll see you next week.